Thank you, John Lewin. Thank you. I love the diamond hat.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Town of Gilbert's Council Chambers. My name is Laura Barnes, and I chair the town's Human Relations Commission. And our mission is to promote unity, equality, and diversity within the town of Gilbert. And we have a very special program for you this evening called We the People. And we're presenting this on this very special day, September the 17th, which is the anniversary of the signing of the US Constitution. And it's an appropriate day for the kickoff to Constitution Week, which is beginning with our wonderful Constitution Fair this coming Saturday, 6 till 9 o'clock, right here at the Civic Centre. We'd love to see you and your family coming back and enjoying this Constitution Fair. I believe it's the biggest in the entire country, the biggest celebration of the Constitution in the United States. Incredible. So welcome, everybody. And we're going to begin our program this evening with Pastor Julius Keller, who is kindly going to set us off with the invocation this evening. Julius.
Thank you, Laura. Will you pray with me? Gracious and loving God, thank you for having gathered us here tonight. May your continued guidance lead all of our mayor and the cabinet, our leaders, and all of our residents here, that we might live into what you created us to be, Lord, and that's the community of faith. And Lord, as we go forward with you, we go forward knowing that you are with us, leading, guiding, and directing our paths. And may one day you lead us to a life of eternity with you. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. I'm going to ask you all please to stand and join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and pursuit for all. Thank you. What a privilege it is for me, and I want to first of all acknowledge my dear friend Laura Barnes for pursuing me and being persistent to come and just speak briefly with you about the Constitution and the civil rights aspects of the Constitution. So I want to thank Laura for that wonderful invitation. Also want to say hello to Mayor Lewis and to all the council members present here tonight and the wonderful work that you're doing as leaders within our community to keep us all on tasks to achieve all the things that this wonderful Constitution has given us the opportunity to do. One thing about the Constitution is it's withstood the test of time for over 200 years, and so that's one of the landmarks and hallmarks of what makes us a nation of democracy. When Laura first approached me and asked me to share with you something about the civil rights aspect of the Constitution, I have a law degree as one of my backgrounds in my career. My grandfather was a lawyer and my dad was a lawyer. I thought about all the litigation that has occurred, some of the landmark decisions, and I couldn't help but think about the Brown versus Topeka, Kansas Board of Education case that was brought before the Supreme Court and decided in 1954. And the attorney representing the plaintiff was none other than Thurgood Marshall, who went on to become the first African-American on the Supreme Court. My dad was a consultant and a good friend of Thurgood Marshall's and worked on that case. And that case basically held that the court declared state laws establishing separate public schools for black and white students was unconstitutional. And it overturned one of the earlier cases in our nation's history, Plessy versus Ferguson, which was in 1896, which allowed state-sponsored segregation. As a result of this, segregation was ruled as a violation of the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution. Now, some of you are so young, that might just be some historical literature that you hear about, but for me, that changed my life forever. I was sharing with Laura that I grew up in an inner city in Cincinnati, Ohio. I attended an all-black elementary school. We had 3 Caucasians. They were brothers. And so when I went to my high school, as a result of realizing that separate but equal is never equal, when I went to the 7th grade as a 12-year-old, my high school's cafeteria was probably 5 times the size of this room. My elementary school didn't even have a cafeteria. We used to carry our lunches, and to this day, there's certain sandwiches that I don't like because my mother would put that in the lunch every day. And then you got your choice of white milk or chocolate milk when you got to elementary school. So for me, this was a tremendous transition. I had never been in a cafeteria in my life. And I remember that first day of school, there were 10 separate entrances to the cafeteria. And I just did what the student in front of me did because I had never experienced this in my life. The point being, as I said to you earlier, separate is never equal. And so one of the reasons I focused on that particular case as part of my introductory remarks to you tonight is because that opportunity afforded me at a very young age to assimilate into America. And I look back over my life to this point, and I've always been used as a change agent, someone that bridges the gap between differences of people. And that's really, when you look back over this past summer, everyone was celebrating the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington. That whole separate but equal concept began to erode as a result of that case I just shared with you. And so throughout our history, we see times when we're not living into what the framers may have hoped for with the Constitution. We see these particular challenges that are designed to create opportunities for everyone so that no one is ever left behind. Later in my legal career, I worked in enforcing the Fair Housing Act. So President Reagan in 1988 amended the Fair Housing Act to include not only familial status, but disabilities, both physical and mental. And I'll never forget my first case under that part of the Fair Housing Act. It was a 29-year-old nurse. I talked to her over the phone, made an appointment to go and visit with her. And she happened to live 4 blocks from where I lived in Lincoln Park in Chicago. So I was completely excited because I could walk to her condo, and I didn't have to get in all that rush hour traffic to go to work in downtown Chicago. So I remember knocking on the door, and after about the 5th knock, I started thinking to myself, now, I know she knows that I'm going to be here at the appointed time, and I'm here, and she's not even opening the door. About another 5 minutes, all of a sudden, the door opened. She had crawled on the floor to get to the door. Here's a woman who had a master's degree in nursing. At 29, she was stricken with multiple sclerosis due to no fault of her own. And yet, where she lived, they said to her, you need to exit by going down the freight elevator and then exiting out of the back door in the alley. If you've ever seen one of these old-time buildings, freight doors it's hard for me to push that door open with one hand. You try not to get emotionally involved with your cases in the legal arena, but this one fired me up. So we worked out a potential possibility that she was amenable to, and that she would call downstairs, and then the doorman would come up and take her downstairs. Well, she shared with me that she didn't think that was working well because the doorman would come up whenever he felt like it. Now, this really incensed me. And so to make a long story short, I had that building build her a ramp so she could walk out the front door just like anybody else in the ramp. You see, in America, we've made a lot of gains since that earlier case that I referenced in 1954. But we still have a long way to go to make sure that we fully live into what the expectations are for one of the most diverse nations on the face of the earth. And if we're not cognizant of that, then what happens is the gap between the haves and the have-nots really widens. And what you're seeing throughout the world today is the result of people who lose hope, who feel that there's no voice for them, that they're disenfranchised and removed from mainstream of whatever nation they may live in. And I challenge us all tonight that that's what we better really focus on as we go forward. That every decision, everything we're trying to do is working for the good of all those involved, especially not only in our nation, but in our community. That's one of the challenges that I see constantly that Mayor Lewis and our town council members have. How do you, with limited resources, make sure they're being used to the benefit of all those in the community? This is what Dr. King meant when he said that he always envisioned the beloved community. You see, the beloved community doesn't leave anyone out. It includes and reaches out to everyone in some capacity, because everyone here has a gift and a talent that can be used together for the glory of God. That's really what this journey is all about. And I see time and time again both sides of the ledger. And I say to those who feel like they're being left out, don't sit back and be critical of everything that's going on by your leaders. Come and get involved. Find a way in which you can become participants in everything that we're trying to do. Now, I have to pause here for a minute. Ben told me he brought a flyer over. Whenever Mayor Lewis hasn't heard from me, he'll send somebody over to my church, and they'll come in with some additional information. I had not responded to this last invitation because my wife is due to fly to Kansas City Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock. So today I got up the courage to say, dear, would you mind going to the airport just a little early on Tuesday? And she said, well, what's early? I said, well, if I could get you there at 6:30, and I couldn't even finish the sentence, and she said, 6:30? Why do you have to get me there so early? And then I meekly said, well, dear, Mayor Lewis is summoning his faith community to his faith summit that he holds every year, and it's from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. And praise be to God, she said, well, of course, you can drop me off at Banner Gateway and they'll pick me up there. So I will be at the faith summit that the mayor holds each year. And I raised that because that's another example of what I'm talking about. Since I've known Mayor Lewis, he's always tried to reach out to all segments of the community, especially in the faith community. So when we come together in the faith community, we're talking about ways in which we can work with Mayor Lewis and the council members to make our town of Gilbert be everything that we all dream that it can be, that we all vision that it can be, that our students see roles and places where no matter what background you're coming from, that your gifts and talents can be utilized for the entire whole and betterment of our society. I used to say to all of my children when they were young, they had all these ideas that they were going to conquer the world. And I said, you know what? Whatever you do, work hard to make a contribution to our society. You see how that takes the focus off of me and puts it on the whole. And we're never, basic math formula is still true. We're never going to be greater than the sum of all the parts if we're going to be made whole. And I believe, and I have confidence, that that's the pathway we're on. Let's unite together at all levels and all ages and all different walks of life to come together and see what we can do with all of the blend of gifts and talents that we have to make this community, this state, and this nation live into its creed. Thank you. I must apologize to you because I told Laura I teach on Tuesday night. I said, Laura, I've got to leave early. I'd love to see the rest of the program, but thank you so much for the invitation.
I would now like to invite our Sound Stations show choir to come and take the stage. Thank you. As they're assembling here, I would like to introduce Randall Thorne, who is the Director of Musical Theatre, Drama and Voice at the Learning Foundation and Performing Arts Charter School, located right here in Gilbert Town Square, just opposite where we are right now. And they're going to perform, first of all, this evening, America the Beautiful. I beg your pardon, it is Amazing Grace. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. You look fantastic as well. Thank you. We're going to continue with our program this evening in our kickoff to the Constitution Week with two extremely special guests this evening. It is really an honor and a privilege to introduce to you right now to Lauren Cantrell and Nick Napier from the Best Buddies program at Mesquite High School. Thank you.
Thank you. Will that be better?
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
That's the wrong one. This is the Constitution Week. Don't you mean we the people of the United States?
Oh, yeah. In order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Better?
Yes. Now, should we introduce ourselves?
Oh, yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Lauren Cantrell. I am 16 years old and have lived in Gilbert my entire life. I consider myself very lucky to call this great town my home.
Hello, I am Nick Napier. I have been attending Gilbert schools since I was 3.
Nick and I are students at Mesquite High School here in Gilbert and are members of the Best Buddies Club on our campus. Best Buddies is a nonprofit organization that focuses on the inclusion and acceptance of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Best Buddies strives to form friendships, provide opportunity for jobs, and leadership training for those with disabilities. I have been involved with Best Buddies for almost 4 years now as a volunteer and chapter president. I can honestly say that I would not trade the experiences I have had or the friendships I have made for anything. Now, Nick, they're probably wondering what all of this has to do with the Constitution, right?
Yes.
Well, to be honest, when I first began writing this, I was also wondering what Best Buddies had to do with the Constitution. But I realized that it is thanks to this country and the principles it was founded and built on that we are able to stand here tonight. It is a great privilege we have to be a part of a wonderful organization such as Best Buddies and stand up in front of all of you, a privilege that we wouldn't have in many other countries. In fact, only 45 countries in this world have anti-discrimination and other disability-specific laws.
Well, what makes America different?
Our country's fundamentals make us different. In 1868, the 14th Amendment was added to the Constitution. This amendment guarantees all citizens equal protection under the law. While this amendment was added after slavery was abolished and is often interpreted as all people, meaning the former slaves, it states all people, including those with disabilities. This amendment means that no group, minority, or individual should be subjected to mistreatment without the right to seek assistance from the legal system. This 14th Amendment is the backbone of disability rights. It also gives Congress the power to make laws which regard to the idea of equal protection. Well, it was not until over 100 years later that the Americans with Disability Act was signed into law, the idea of equality was first sparked in our Constitution.
It also lets us talk about awesome clubs like Best Buddies.
That's right, Nick.
The Constitution gives us the right of free speech, which lets us spread our message of friendship and inclusion.
While Nick and I are North George Washington and Franklin Lee High School students, we like to believe that we have some of the same goals as he and the other 38 men who signed the Constitution on this day 226 years ago. The courage to stand up for what we believe is right and the hope to create a better tomorrow for the people in this amazing country.
I want to say thank you for letting us come here tonight and share our story with you. Happy Constitution Week.
Thank you.
Didn't Nick do good? Woo! Fantastic. I'd now like to invite the choir to return to the stage for their second number. This time it really is America the Beautiful.
Thank you.
I'd like to take a moment to thank the council and mayor for inviting us
That was fantastic. Just before you go, can you go back? And I would like you all to just introduce yourselves, say your name, and then pass the microphone along and share your gifts with not only your parents and family and friends who are here this evening, but also those people who are watching on TV on Channel 11. This is your moment to shine.
My name's Akaya Desiree Legrone, and I share what I... Oh, okay.
My name's Giselle Cardenas. My name's Destiny Eckelman.
My name's Scott Tapernew.
My name's Caroline Humphreys.
Hi, I'm Isabella Wade.
Hi, I'm Emma Philipposh.
Hello, my name's Leanne Kiefer.
Hi, I'm Janae Payne.
My name's Caitlin Gill.
My name's Isabella Nino.
I'm Olivia Calvert.
Hi, my name is Veronica Valdez.
I'm Tony Nasta.
My name is Dakota Kay.
Hi, I'm Jordan Andrus.
I'm Malia Ward.
I'm Selena Vanberg.
I'm Dominique Carvalho.
I'm Bethany Murphy.
I'm Zoe George.
I'm Allie McFeet.
Hannah Jarvis.
I'm Ariel Gill.
Hi, I'm Anna Chassie.
Hi, I'm Ria Watson.
Hi, I'm Alyssa Fawcett.
Hi, I'm Sierra Morris.
Hi, I'm Melissa Gary.
Hi, I'm Katrina Rose.
Hi, I'm Savannah Crowley.
Hi, my name's Dominique Rodriguez.
Hi, my name is Christian Gomez.
Hello, my name is Adrian Costa, and I just want to say I'm thankful for my parents and the mayor.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Vickers.
Hello, I just want to thank everyone for coming out. It's an honor to be here, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Miss Laura, and I am Leon Jackson, Jr.
Hi, I'm Manny Quijada.
Hello, I'm Shane Swanson, and God bless America.
My name is Ramses Quijada.
Hello, my name is Tanner Ward.
Hello, my name is Maurice Legrone.
Hello, I'm Caleb Brown.
And at this point, we thought it would be really nice if members of the council could come up and have their photos taken with these wonderful children. Oh. Thank you. We're going to do. And we're just going to bring our We the People event to a conclusion with Council Member Jared Taylor, who would like to share a little bit of information about Constitution Week. And then we're going to make sure that Lauren and Nick get their pictures taken with the mayor and the council. I know that's what Nick wants, so we're going to make sure that happens as well. So please stay with us. And I want to hand over to Council Member Jared Taylor. Jared.
Okay. We're so glad you're here to help us kick off Constitution Week with this We the People celebration. This is the first time that we've had it, and we wanted to name it after one of our great symbols in the town, We the People. You know, back in '87 that we celebrated the bicentennial, and it's just so great that our town has adopted that as an institutional part. But I also want to just recognize one of the things we don't talk about a lot this year, which is the sesquicentennial of the Emancipation Proclamation, and just share just a couple of quick thoughts on that, because to me that's very important. If government doesn't get anything else right, it's got to protect our rights. I mean, that's what it is, and the Emancipation Proclamation did that in an amazing way with what President Lincoln did. 1863 was when he signed that, January 1st. And that year is one of the pivotal years in American history, much like 1787, signing of the Constitution, 1776. 1863 was also the Battle of Gettysburg and the Gettysburg Address. And President Lincoln, he loved the founders and loved their works. When he would travel around Illinois as a lawyer, he would carry the works of Shakespeare, the Bible, and a copy of the Constitution. And he would study that and read that with the Federalist Papers and others. And before you leave tonight, make sure you get a complimentary copy of the Constitution on the back page. President Lincoln said, the Founding Fathers did all the heavy lifting. What's left for us is to transmit those principles to the generations. And so that's the whole idea of Constitution Week, and Mayor Lewis is the founding father of Constitution Week, and so we're lucky to have his leadership in that, and wanted to recognize that. And just say just a couple of quick things about President Lincoln and the legacy that he gave us on the Emancipation Proclamation and how the Constitution protects our civil rights in the most important ways. You know, when he was a young adult, he worked for a general store, and he would take trips down the Mississippi, and he would oftentimes go to New Orleans, and as you know, that was a big slave market. And there was one time when somebody watched him carefully as he walked through the slave markets, because he became very disturbed, and under his breath, they heard him say, "I'm going to knock that thing." His knuckles were white. And so throughout his whole political life, he knew that was something that needed to be addressed and to fix, because it just wasn't settled originally. So it was no secret in 1862 when he brought his cabinet together and said, and he put in front of them a first draft of the Emancipation Proclamation. He says, "I'm going to free the slaves with this." And they were stunned. They didn't really know what to say. And he started to ask for feedback, not on the wording of the document, but on how he should approach it. And they said, well, you should just wait until the timing is right, and then you can release it. And at the time, he was still struggling with his generals. His whole purpose when he entered the Civil War was to save the Union. It wasn't necessarily to free the slaves, although he knew that was right, and he campaigned on that vigorously. But one of his secretaries said, well, just wait till a good victory happens, and then that's a good time to release it. And there's a lot of interesting things to talk about there. But I thought I would just read just a quick little piece of some of the wording. He went to Congress a couple of times. Once the Union defeated the Confederate Army in Antietam, he knew that was the time to release it. And he had people like Horace Greeley, the editor of the paper, always on his back. You've got to release it. You've got to free the slaves. You've got to free the slaves. He had 3 Republican senators that would come to the White House all the time and say, you've got to free the slaves. You've got to do this. You campaigned on this. Now is the time. Don't delay. They didn't know that he had this document in his pocket. And one time these 3 Republicans were coming to the White House, and he told one of his classic little stories to someone there in the room as he saw him come approaching. He says, yeah, you know, those 3 guys, they remind me of that little boy who was having trouble saying when he read the Bible, he couldn't pronounce the name Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So in Sunday school class, the poor little boy was asked to read a chapter in the Bible about those 3 people, and he was reading down, and all of a sudden he saw what was coming up. Those names he can't produce, he can't say. So as he was reading and reading, he says, "Hey, look, there come those 3 darn fellers again." And President Lincoln, just was classic with all those funny stories, but he had a lot of pressure. There was a lot of pastors that would come and say, on both sides, that there was a lot of pressure there. Well, there was the shoe dropped, and the timing was right. He had another cabinet meeting, and he says, "Okay, now is the time. We're going to release this." It went to the public. And Horace Greeley's famous editorial, "God bless Abraham Lincoln." And he says on January 1st, we're going to issue the Emancipation Proclamation. And he had a lot of powerful experiences during this process. One time he gathered he was trying to solve this problem without having to split the Union. I mean, he wanted to save the Union. He gathered a lot of the black leaders at the time to the White House, and he proposed a very interesting theory to them. It's called colonization. It was very popular at the time, and the basic idea was to take all the slaves, pay the owners what they would lose in property, and then ship them to an island in the Caribbean somewhere. And we wouldn't even think of that today, but that was a very popular idea and that President Lincoln believed in, and he proposed that to these leaders. And do you know what they effectively told him? We don't want to leave. We're Americans. We want to stay. We want to be free. And so that gave him some of the fuel in the tank to move forward and carry forward with all of, the heat of the Civil War there. So New Year's Eve, when he promised to do that, there was a lot of people that still didn't believe that he would actually follow through on it. And he, on New Year's Day, there was a tradition in the White House where everybody would come and see the Prez. That was his nickname. We're going to go see the Prez. And the senators in Congress, they all wanted to be here to see him sign the Emancipation Proclamation. And he shook hands for 3 hours, and he stood in line and was being such a good host. By about 2 o'clock, he finally left and went up to his office, and his hand was shaking, a little bit swollen from all of the glad handing and everything. And people noted how his hand shook as he wrote his famous signature, "A. Lincoln," on the Emancipation Proclamation. It was very quick. He put the pen down, and he said, "I've never felt more right about this than anything in my life." And that's a powerful statement coming from what he did. Let me just leave with you one sentence that I think is so powerful in the Emancipation Proclamation. I want to make sure I get it exactly right, because I think it epitomizes what we're trying to celebrate here today. "In giving freedom to the slave, we assure freedom to the free. Honorable alike in what we give and what we preserve, we shall nobly serve, or meanly lose the last best hope on earth." And that's powerful words from President Lincoln that he said. And I think that's the message that I would just leave with you. In giving freedom to the slave, we give freedom to the free. And that's what we try to do. And the Constitution is that thing that protects our freedoms. That's its number one job. And so here we are. We're those generations to transmit those great ideas. And why did President Lincoln have the courage to do something like the Emancipation Proclamation and stand up for the Civil War and fight? Well, because he was firmly anchored in those principles of liberty. And so that's what gave him the courage, and that's what saved the Union. So that's what we hope in Constitution Week, is for us to remember those, become firmly anchored in those principles that give freedom to the slaves and freedom to the free. And so we thank you for coming here. We hope you enjoy all the Constitution Week activities. And thank you again, and Mayor for hosting us here in the council chambers, and Laura for being our wonderful MC for tonight. Thank you again. want to go on a treasure hunt, there's sort of a town of Gilbert treasure hunt called the Treasure Quest. And my family did this last night. There's some great businesses. You can get a stamp. On Saturday night at the Constitution Week Fair, you'll be able to get a prize and enter it into even a larger prize. If you're a Boy Scout, tomorrow night at Mesquite Junior High, you can work on the citizenship in the nation, community, and world merit badges. And Barb Stoll, come on up here, Barb. This is the lady that makes it all happen in Gilbert. She's been through it for 10 years. Tell us other highlights here that we should know for Constitution Week, Barb.
Well, we have a lot of activities. Jared highlighted a couple of them. We have a wonderful event Thursday night, and it's actually in downtown Phoenix. We have a lot of religious leaders coming to